Hi guys, it's me Udav Saraswat. Welcome to another video in my course of Spring Boot. And today we will be looking into Jackson library. So we know that in REST APIs we are mostly dealing with JSON objects. So we will be having a JSON payload in the request, and that JSON data we will have to take into our system and process it. So how that JSON is possible? How that conversion of JSON to Java objects, and then in the end Java to JSON object is possible. So for that we are having one library called Jackson. So it is a third party library which we need to add into our maven pom.xml file. If we are using a maven build system, we have to add that in a pom.xml file. So after adding that, we will be getting a support for adding. We will be having some annotations, some classes will be there in this particular library, which will help us to convert from Java to JSON and from JSON to Java. So this particular library is called Jackson. And so before that, we will need to understand what serialization and deserialization is. So I will explain that with one diagram. So here it is. So what serialization is? In serialization, we are having an object. Let's say it is a Java object. Then it will be converted to a stream of bytes, and then that stream of bytes will be converted to a file. For in our case, it will be a JSON file. So this is what serialization is. From Java object to one file, that is JSON file. From Java to JSON, that is called serialization. And the opposite of that is deserialization. So in deserialization, we will be having a file, for example JSON file, that will be converted to a stream of bytes, and then that stream of bytes will be converted to the Java object. So from JSON file to Java object is what is called deserialization. So that is what is called deserialization. So I'm having one more example which will make it even more clear. So we are having a pojo entity, plain old Java class entity, and that is a DTO object, and the DTO object will be converted to a JSON object using this Jackson library. So that pojo entity converted to JSON object is called serialization. I hope now serialization is and deserialization is clear. Now let's move forward to look what Jackson is. So Jackson is a very popular and efficient Java library which is used to serialize and deserialize JSON and Java objects. So why it is so much famous is that because it is easy to use. We will just add that API dependency and we will be good to go for that. And no need to create mapping. We need not to define many things like what will be converted into which thing and what all is going to happen. It will take care of that by it automatically. We will only be using annotations. Performance is quite good for Jackson. And in the last, it is an open source library. So that is one more thing. So coming to what is the main thing in Jackson library is the object mapper. So it is the main actor class of Jackson library. It provides methods for reading and writing JSON objects. So we will be discussing three functions today for this object mapper. Three basic functions which are mostly used. First one is object mapper.read tree. So we will be having a JSON file and we will be reading that JSON file in a tree format. So in a JSON node object, it will return us back. We will be looking into it in an example. And write value as string. We will be writing a pojo class value as a JSON string, and then read value. What it will do, in the first argument, it will take a file, for example JSON file, and we have to define in which particular class it has to convert, and it will convert that JSON file into an object of this particular class and will give that object back to us. So let's see these three examples through coding. Let's get started with that. So let's create one more package, and the name is going to be com.firstapp.dto. Okay, and in this DTO we will be going to have a Java class, let's say student class, and in this student class we will be having some instance variables. So let it be private string name, private string email ID, and then private integer marks. Okay, these three fields we are having, and let's have getters and setters for this as well. So we will be going to source generate getters and setters. We will be selecting all those files, and that's it. Now getters and setters are also created. Okay guys, we are done with the getters and setters. So the next thing we have to do is go to pom.xml and add the maven repository for Jackson. Okay, so how we will do that is we will go to Google Chrome and we will type Jackson maven repository, and it will, the first website it will show is of maven repository. So what this maven repository is, it is a remote repository where all these dependencies are placed. So when we do maven build or anything, these dependency will get downloaded from this particular maven repository only. So we come to this and we will choose a stable version, and it will be having the details of that particular dependency. So we will copy this and paste it in our project in our pom.xml file. Once pasted, once pasted, we will go to our application and go to maven, then update project, and click on force update and snapshot and releases. So what this update will do, it will make sure that the dependencies are getting downloaded. So we will do that. Okay, that's done. Let's go to the main method, and inside that, now we will be going to study three methods today, and the first one is write value as string. Okay, so let us study this one. What in this, what we are going to do is, the requirement is that we want to write a JSON string from a Java object, okay, which is a case of serialization. So for that, let us create an object of student class. Now let me set values for it. Set name, let's say Madhav, and student dot set email, let's say gmail.com, and the marks, set marks, let's say 85. Okay, so we are done with creating an object. Now, as we discussed, there's an main character class of this Jackson library, which is called the object mapper. So we will create an object of that. Object mapper is equals to new object mapper. Now using this mapper, we are going to write this as string. So there are also methods such as we can write to file as well. So write to file and all those methods are there. We can use them as well. So write to string, write value as string, and we will give this particular Java class reference here, and so it will throw exceptions, JSON processing exception. We need to surround it with try and catch. So done that, and this value I need to print. Okay, so doing, okay, let's save this class and run the project. Okay, yeah, we can see that from our Java object, a JSON string has been created. So let's copy this and see what is the structure of this JSON string created. Right here and paste here, and let's go to JSON and format JSON. So this is how the JSON is looking. So serialization is working fine. We have seen that. Okay, so let's move on to the next function, which is the read value. Okay, for this, what what is the requirement for this one? For this, the requirement is that we are having a Java JSON string. We are having a JSON string, and we want to convert it to Java object deserialization case. Okay, so in this, what we are going to do is we are again going to use the same mapper object and dot. Now we are going to read the value. So we will be using read. read value, and the arguments it will take is first one will be the JSON string. Okay, so JSON string we also need to create, so we will be having a string JSON string, and the value for that, let me use the value I'm already having. Okay, let me use this value, and let me change the details. Let it be Rakesh, and email ID will be rakesh@gmail.com, and the marks will be 95. Okay, so what is happening? Okay, one semicolon I have missed. Okay, so the first argument we need to give is this string, and the second one we need to tell which class object it needs to create. We are giving that dot class. That's it, and again we need to surround it with try catch block. Done that, and now I want to see if that value is getting converted or not. I will be giving a sysout statement, and let's give me the serialization is happening, and after that I want to print the values. Okay, so I want to have the reference of the object which is returned from this particular function. Student from JSON is equals to this, and student from JSON gave the this in dot get name, plus let's give a hyphen between, plus this dot get email ID, plus a hyphen again in between, then the marks. Okay, so let's save it and see if it runs fine or not. So let's see. Yes, it is working fine. So it is showing deserialization, then Rakesh@gmail.com and 95. These were the JSON details we gave. Okay, so that is running fine. And so we have learned two things today: deserialization, deserialization. So one more thing we need to check today is that the third function, read tree. So let's say if you want to read this JSON string, but you don't want to map it to an object. You just want to read this JSON string and you just want to get the value of marks out of it. You don't want to map it to a JSON object and then get it from there. So that we can do is using JSON read tree method. Is having a function which is called read tree. Using that we can do that. So in that, what is going to happen, we are going to read this particular JSON string as a tree. So there will be a root, and inside that there will be three attributes: name, email ID, and marks, and we can get any one of them from the node itself. So how that is going to happen is JSON node is the object. So let me write some comment first. Reading the JSON string as tree node and getting the value of attributes directly. Okay, so we got a JSON node object. Let us give a name of JSON object and mapper dot read tree, and inside that we are going to give the JSON string as a method argument. Okay, let's surround it with try and catch, and once we are done with this, we want to get the value of the attribute marks. So we will do JSON node dot get, and inside this we will give marks. So what should happen, it should print the value of marks from this particular string, which is 95. So let's save it and run and see let's it works or not. So yeah, we got that 95 as the output, so this is also working fine. Okay guys, so this is also working. Today we have seen the case of serialization, deserialization, and JSON node. So in serialization we converted from a Java object to JSON string using the object mapper write value as string, and we can write to file as well. There are other methods which work similarly. We can give write value, and in the arguments we can give new file and then file location. And the second case of deserialization we saw was in which we had a JSON string and we converted this JSON string to a Java object, and we printed the values out of that, so it was also working fine. And the third one, we look for JSON node. So these three we have covered today. Okay guys, that's it for today. In the next session, we are going to look into the Jackson annotations and how that those annotations we are going to work with REST APIs. Those we will cover next. Till then, see you in the next video. Thanks. Bye bye.